You're listening to Rock Our Whim, hosted by me, Danny Faye.
So you've got a nice glass of wine there.
Yeah, I need it after my week.
Because if you want to introduce yourselves and what you do in the band.
So I'm Charlotte. I sing and play bass guitar.
I'm Libby. I play guitar and some backing vocals.
And our drummer's over there, Claire. She's shy.
So what have you been up to during lockdown?
It's been a bit of a roller coaster, hasn't it? So when lockdown first happened, we had like quite a lot of gigs booked that we were meant to do, and obviously they all got cancelled. And then we weren't allowed to see each other for a while for actually like practicing and stuff. So we've written some songs like separately, like during lockdown when we've not been able to see each other, and then sporadically we've like actually been able to practice for like a few months, and then it's like, oh, you can't practice anymore. So we do have like some songs written, because we released our last like album in 2019, and then we were like really pumped up and excited because like things seemed like they were like getting somewhere, and we had like loads of good gigs, and we had like a really good launch of the album. And then we thought, oh, 2020 we can write and record the next one, but then like coronavirus happened and it just went all a bit downhill. But recently we've been able to like meet up again, and we've got like some new songs written, and yeah, it's like exciting. So we just can't wait to get back in the studio now and get some songs recorded.
Yeah, we just got the ball rolling. Like Charlotte said, we've got the album launch and we were really, really excited about it all. We've got all these gigs booked, and then it was just a massive blow, not only to not see each other, which I found really, really difficult. We just lost the momentum, didn't we? And then it's not all gigs are honoured again to be booked for the following year, so it's a lot of graft to kind of do your own administration in that kind of sense as well. And
so did you book all your own gigs then?
A lot of them.
Usually we have like a few different promoters that we work with, or like people who contact us and offer us gigs. But yeah, we don't have, like, we basically manage ourselves and we do all the admin ourselves, run our own website, and literally just do everything ourselves, don't we? It's very DIY. So it's like, especially because we all work full time as well, it's just like we'll have meetings where we're like, okay, we need to catch up on this, we need to do this. But I suppose when you've got all that responsibility, sometimes it does kind of like take away from like, I'd rather spend this time like writing music instead of actually like doing the business side of it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's got to be done onto it.
So obviously you mentioned that your last album was released in 2019. That was Sister Psychosis, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It's a bit of a mouthful.
It's just I'm dyslexic, so trying to say it like really fast is like, ugh. How was that? Well, was that received?
Oh, it was amazing. We did a launch party at Rock City. I think it was May, wasn't it, that we released it officially. And then to raise the money for the release, we did it all ourselves because we were going to use a website called, what's that website?
Was it Kickstarter?
No, it's a different one.
It was like a launching platform where like a third party company collected the fundraising for.
It was like a very well known music fundraising website that all the bands seemed to be using, and then it got
stung.
Yeah,
absolutely, just got stung.
And then it turned out like that they hadn't been paying the bands or any of the musicians the money that they'd raised, and they'd been keeping it all for themselves, and they went bankrupt basically.
We dodged a massive bullet with that. I mean, like, it was a week before we were about to launch this campaign. Our friends' bands like Hands Off Gretel and I think The Cut as well.
Yeah, they all got affected by it.
They actually spoke out about it, and if they hadn't have spoken out about it,
we would have.
The same thing would have happened, yeah. We would have not been able to do it. And I mean, they were in such a pickle really because they'd still got to they were gracious enough to foot the bill to send out all the merch that were promised that people had paid for it on like a pre-order in order to raise the money. But then they were in a massive deficit because not only had they not got those fundraising, they'd actually footed their own bill. So that's criminal, actually. It's stealing.
Yeah.
So,
but in a way, it kind of like, I kind of like think it was a good thing for us because it forced us to kind of like do it ourselves. So we did it all on our own website, and we shared it like all across our social media. And like it was basically like all of like our followers and our fans and our friends who kind of like pre-ordered the album or ordered merch, and we ended up reaching like our fundraising goal, and that paid for like the CD printing and the merch. And like when we actually recorded the album, we like obviously some of it we put in ourselves towards band, but obviously a lot of it we'd raised from gigs and stuff like that. So it's all like self-funded really, like through hard graft and just people supporting us. So it was just amazing, just like the support that we had. Like it's when you put something out there in the world, you don't know how it's going to be received. So to have people like respond well to it, and the fact that we sent it off for like reviews, and we had like some really positive feedback, and
it's amazing reviews.
Yeah, and just people like sending you messages saying like, oh, how much a certain song means to them, or how much they love the album. It's just like really, really just like makes you happy and makes you want to write some more stuff. So
yeah. And it's given us the confidence to be able to do stuff off our own back and not rely on these third-party platforms that take a cut from you anyway. We know how to do it now, and we feel confident enough to next album we've got a battle plan. We know what to do.
Yeah,
so you're going to do it all on your own again.
Yeah. So we know like what to do and what not to do, kind of.
I mean, for a company to hold such a lot of money that well, to some people it might not be a lot of money, but to us it was like it's the whole album campaign. To hold that and have it in some kind of limbo, and if we never saw it, then the project's lost.
Yeah,
and so we can't do that. We can't have that.
It was a blessing in disguise.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what's your favourite song to play off of it?
Oh,
we had this conversation the other day, didn't we? And we were like, no, I See Red, no, Emily, no, Messed Around, for different reasons, different songs. I love Messed Around because when Claire plays this, is it a snare bit, Claire, that I like?
Yeah.
When Claire plays the snare, I'm like, bum wiggle, you can't help it, it's just amazing. I love playing I See Red because when it kicks into the chorus, it's just something where it's a hair flicker, isn't it?
It's probably the heaviest song on the album,
Then there's just some melodies, like Emily's chorus, I get to do a bit of backing vocals on there, and it just, it's one of those songs where you want to sing it in the like at a party or a club or something, and I feel like I'm joining in at that point, and I like doing a little solo bit in there.
Yeah, I think like my favourite songs, like I really love All Eyes on Her. Like I don't know, I just feel like that's probably one of my favourite ones. Just like it just feels special.
That one's really fun to play as well for me. Like some songs have got more interesting parts to play than others, but you love them all for different reasons.
Yeah, and Emily, I just think it's just a great song.
Yeah. I really like All Eyes on Her because it's got like a little twinkly bit in it that I get to play, and I feel like I'm just decorating.
Yeah, we've got like that bit on the bridge where it's kind of like in Teenage Dirtbag, where it like breaks down and it's from another perspective.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like that bit.
I like that bit too.
So yeah, they're probably our faves, like half the album.
But then there's like on Wasted, when Claire plays the drums, it's like proper anthem.
Yeah,
I love it.
More of a punky one.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's just sections of songs where it's like, oh, I really like this bit of the song.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt good because we did have one of our like first gigs back the other day, and it was just like it was very nerve-wracking to play in front of an audience, but it was also obviously like fun.
On there that we thought were like filler songs, so we made sure that we could just kept saying to each other, all killer, no filler, which is a Sum 41 album. Because you didn't want any songs that people are just skipping the cars or wherever they are.
Yeah.
So we wanted to love every single song. Yeah. So yeah, really pleased with it.
Is there a particular one that the fans go crazy for at live gigs?
Oh, Burn the Witch is probably the oldest one on them, but people seem to really love that one, Burn the Witch.
There's parts in that one that I get to do like little fiddly bits, and that's fun to play.
Yeah. So yeah, like, but like sometimes we'll post things about us, like certain songs or whatever, and people will be like, oh, this is my favorite one, and it's kind of nice like hearing like how people have their own preferences, and it gives us ideas of like what to write as well, because it's like, oh, they like this kind of song, so I'll try and do something even better next time.
Our major supporters, we call them the front row crew, because any gig that we can go to, you just know that some members of, or all of the members of the front row crew
familiar faces
on the front row. And I can, in my mind's eye, I know that person loves I See Red, that person
and you kind of know who loves what song.
That one loves He Loves Me Not.
Yeah. And we've got a friend called Emily, so we always say, this one's for Emily, even though the lyrics are kind of like a bit dodgy, but it's not actually about her, but
dodgy is in like jealousy. It's not, but I just liked the name Emily. I just thought it
sounded good. It was the phonetics of Emily. The name,
yeah.
And I think everyone knows someone called Emily.
Yeah.
I remember at one gig I was like, is anyone here called Emily? And there was just silence. I was like, come on, there's got to be one person in this room called Emily. I was like, okay, this is dedicated to an Emily somewhere in the world.
I thought it would be nice to have a song as well, like I know that Pink Floyd's got See Emily Play, but I don't know, I just wanted to stand out as Emily, synonymous and stuff. Yeah.
I think as long as you love the song, then have confidence in it.
You've got to enjoy playing it.
Yeah.
So what's the funniest thing that's ever happened at a gig or like on tour?
Oh God. So many. You're better at like telling anecdotes, so.
What were you talking?
Oh, I'm drunk. Oh, there was this one gig we played
where we broke everything
at the Top and Tumbler in Nottingham, and just everything just seemed to keep going wrong. It's like we were cursed. So
we were playing this sketchy drum kit that as I was playing, I was holding my foot on it so it wouldn't like chase away from Cliff.
Didn't your guitar break and you had to borrow someone's guitar?
Yeah, like I had this guitar which you could have put money on it. It was like the most reliable thing, but it got locking tuning, which means like
you couldn't retune it.
It's got this floating bridge, which means if a string snap, the whole thing goes out of tune, and it's basically like RIP until you can get your little Allen keys back out. And I was like, no, it's over. Then what else did we break? Oh, you always break a glass. Always.
Yeah, I don't know. It just keeps happening. So I had too much to drink, and then I was at the merch stand like chatting away, and I learned on this. I think it was another band, and I leant on it everywhere, and I apologised, and then I ended up like dropping a wine glass, and I don't know, it just went crazy.
It was like too close together, so you step backwards, you break something else. It was, but I don't think we've ever broke anything else since.
I don't think we've broken other people's things, just our own things.
Oh, I've bled on somebody's guitar.
Oh yeah, Libby. Sometimes if we borrowed a guitar, like Libby would be playing with like really like energetically, and then it was an acoustic guitar as well, so it wasn't even an electric gig. And she bled all over this guy's guitar,
and it soaked
into the wood. And like we were apologising to him, like, oh my God, like we're so sorry, like we've got blood all over your guitar, and he's like, oh, it's okay.
I was like, it's really not there. It's like, it's fine. I was like, I'll buy it from you. I'm really, really sorry. I just caught my finger, and I've done it that many times now that I can't really feel it.
Sometimes you'll be playing and your fingers will just bleed, you just keep going.
Yeah, felt like Frank Ayera.
Yeah, and then the gig we played the other night was a bit crazy as well. Like,
oh yeah,
our first gig in like over a year.
Charlotte was a little bit
feral.
She was wine drunk, and because it was like back from COVID, I was because I was designated driver, I was really paranoid. I was like, you don't touch things that strangers touch, just in case. What if you give them it? Anyway, so I take her to the toilet before we go, and I'm like, wash your hands, and she says, no, it feels funny. Only thing she'd gone and done is soaped her hands, thinking it was hand job. She was up to elbows in slime, and you won't wash them off. That was funny.
Oh God, good times.
there's on every time we go somewhere, you know, because we're all best friends since primary school, there's always something hilarious that happens and we can't breathe. And nobody understands us because of our accent, and we can't breathe laughing.
Just look at us funny. And it's fun when you can like stay overnight as well, and you get to stay in like the luxury of a travel lodge, and like we would go on nights out after the gig. That's always fun.
Yeah. I remember once, because me and Charlotte would get tired quick. Claire took us out and we was like, oh my god, 4 a.m.
This is too much. And we were like showing up about how late we was up, like screenshotting our phones like we're still awake.
4 a.m. There's a lot of other stories, but I don't think you appreciate me telling you.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
it's always a good laugh.
That's literally all we do. Like, it's just laugh, laugh, laugh.
So how would you describe your music to someone that hasn't heard you?
So I'd say like that's another thing. Like sometimes I think we've kind of like got to a point now where we kind of like we've found our sound, if you know what I mean. Like we know what we are good at writing. So like we'll have some songs that are very heavy or like punky, and some of them have like metal influences. And then other times
I just remember I needed tissue because I'm laughing too much.
Okay.
Oh, funny.
This is what I have to put up with. But then other times we'll write songs that are more like ballads that are slower. So it's kind of like, I think that because like we've grown up listening to like pop punk or like grunge or things like that, we've all got like our own influences and like bands that we love or music that we like listening to individually, but then we kind of come together and we bring like our own influences and like music that we enjoy to the band. So I think it's hard to kind of describe how we sound because each song is kind of like has its own personality and its own kind of distinct sound. But Libby's quite good when she describes it. I think she says something like grungy riffs and kind of like strong melodies, and yeah, I'm not great at describing our sound. I always ask other people how to describe it because sometimes it's nice to know like how other people perceive you instead of describing yourself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So who does the bulk of the songwriting, or do you all do it equally?
So usually, like for me personally, I tend to kind of like start songs on my own. So I'll be at home like with an acoustic guitar or something, and I'll write a song or come up with an idea, and then I'll record it and I'll send it to these guys like on WhatsApp or something, and then usually I can tell from their reaction if they like it or not. Or sometimes we'll work on things like separately, and then when we come to the band practice we'll show each other what we've got. So I think it's kind of like we all kind of like share it equally, because obviously Claire writes all the drum parts, me and Libby tend to share like the actual vocals, lyrics and guitar and things like that in terms of songwriting. But we tend to write separately and then come together and show each other what we've got. And then because we kind of like decide together if we like it or not, and then it's like what Libby was saying, like all killer and no filler. So like we might write something, it's okay, but if we don't feel like it's like gonna be good enough to actually record and like spend the money for like recording this song, then we'll just like wait until we come up with a song that like you just kind of get a good feeling about it, and that's when you know that it's worth recording and sticking with it and finishing the whole song all together. You're right, Doc.
I find it really hard to stop laughing when I start laughing. Sometimes honestly we'll be on stage, won't we? Can't stop laughing.
You laugh at like inappropriate things as well. Like
oh, I know.
Someone will tell her something like personal or like emotional, and she laughs.
It's not because I find it funny. It's because I don't know. It's just the awkwardness of it. Like when Charlotte was like telling me about. Sorry, when her dog had died, and I did love her dog. I just didn't know what to do, and I just was like, laughing.
You just laugh at emotional things. So you don't know how to handle your emotions.
Deep-seated psychological thing. I don't know.
I think that is a thing, though. I think some people do laugh at things when it's like an emotional thing because they don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a nervous laugh.
Yeah, definitely.
Nervous laughter.
Yeah.
But then if I'm there and she does it in front of someone, I just kind of have to be like, go away somewhere.
Oh, I remember one gig. Claire's just reminded me about it. So there was this gig where this girl was doing like an artistic representation of, I don't know, it was like
an interpretive dance or something.
Yeah, except she'd got like this bag that was furry, and she wanted you to stroke the bag, and it expanded and it made this squeaky wheeze noise, and it was meant to be really, really serious. And I had to like discreetly walk off because I couldn't stop laughing, just because everybody was. Oh, when you're supposed to be really quiet
and respectful of other people's performances.
Oh, sorry. Made me out to be mad.
Well, we just had a question, which is about how you describe our sound, and I'm not very good at describing it, but you are. So do you want to give it a go?
I'd say a pop punk powerhouse, a trio of just three of us. Where it's just like it's lively. It's got fire in it, and it's got guts. It's got melodies that are catchy. And stuff that like earworms that you keep singing, but it's not cheesy at the same time.
Well, we try not to be cheesy, but sometimes you can't help it.
Yeah, that's when we end up laughing as well, isn't it?
That's when we end up arguing about the lyrics, because I can be quite cheesy with the lyrics, and then I'll come to band and show them, and they're like, "We like it, but you need to tone down the cheese a bit. We need to grate that cheese."
Yeah.
What's been your? So what's been your proudest achievement so far?
Oh.
The album launch. The album.
Yeah, I think the album launch, it was kind of like, it's like, I think because it was our gig and our album, it felt like everyone was there for us to support us.
I was amazed when I just looked out and it was jam-packed. And like you stood on stage and there's a bit of dry ice, and like when that reflects from the stage lights, you can't really see anything. But when it had cleared, or when you walk off stage and you walk through the crowd, and there is literally nowhere to walk because it is so packed. I was so pleased that we sold it out as well.
And I think a lot of times you play gigs and you'll be supporting other bands, or you'll be playing a town that you don't know, and sometimes it can be quite overwhelming or kind of like intimidating sometimes. But I think at that gig we just knew that everyone who'd bought a ticket was kind of like there to support us, or because they liked our music. And I think it was when we played one of our acoustic songs called He Loves Me Not, and we were playing it, and like literally like people in the audience like sing the words back, and the album had only been out like a few days, and I was just like, it's just like gives you like goosebumps.
Yeah, so that was one of the songs that we'd not released as a single before the album was out, or played at any other gigs. We kept them, didn't we, until the album launched to make it more exciting.
We felt like if we just played them at gigs, then people would have heard it all, and it wouldn't be as important when we released them.
Yeah, and I was like trying to concentrate really hard after playing like a really fiery electric set where we're sweating, we're absolutely dripping with sweat, and I've got loads of energy being around stage all night, and your hands sort of shake as well with adrenaline, and it's as though you've been running. So then our last song was playing an acoustic song, and it needed quite a lot of control because it was like a finger picking thing. So I was trying to focus on what I was doing, thinking don't mess it up because it'll be so obvious. And then I just had this moment where you realise where you are again. It was sort of like being grounded, but I was like, it was completely distorted reality, because I could just hear voices, a lot of voices singing back a song that by rights we shouldn't have heard until 2 days before, or that day, something like that.
Yeah.
So some of them wouldn't have even had it in the post yet, so that meant that they must have been streaming it and downloading it. That was special. Yeah,
that's probably our favourite thing, like just all the hard work, it felt like it came to a head at that gig. And yeah, that's what we're going to have to recreate now for the next album, but even better.
It was such a weird wind down after that gig as well, wasn't it? I actually felt sick. It must have been adrenaline.
It just took over like everything, didn't it? Like I remember like on the lead up to that album, literally I just like lived and breathed band. Like I'd go to work all day and then I'd come home and then I'd do band stuff. And
I loved it though.
yeah.
It was Claire's birthday, which is just before our album launch, and it was 2:00 and we were sat at my kitchen table signing the CDs, posting them off.
We were up to like 2 a.m. or something, just packing things.
We had a tray of chocolate brownies because it's Claire's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
We love brownies. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so that's probably our highlight, just the album launch that we did, and just like it was just like an amazing experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So have you got any more gigs planned for the rest of the year?
Oh, so we've just done a gig in Leicestershire. So that was our first gig back after like over a year. And then I was actually looking through my diary last night just to see when our next few gigs are. And I think our next full band gig isn't until July now. So we've got an acoustic one next month, just at like a local one. We're from Nottinghamshire. So it's just like a local acoustic event that we're going to do at a local pub called the Brown Cow. But then after that, July is like our next proper gig, like as a full band. So that will be, it's called the Bullfrog Bash, and it's kind of like a festival, like a biker rally type event. So we've got that in July. And then we've got a gig at the Chameleon Cafe in Nottingham with our friends. I don't think it's Alice's aunts that are playing, but it's the band members from that band are members of other bands, and they're putting on a gig, and we really like the Chameleon Cafe because it's just a really cool venue in Nottingham.
We always get a good sound there as well, which makes a difference.
Yeah, so we're playing at the Chameleon Cafe in August, and then we've got like a few bigger gigs towards the end of the year. So we've got in October we're playing Skegness Butlins, because we played there in 2019. It's called the Great British Alternative Festival, and we played the introducing stage in 2019, and we like won it because like the crowd vote for the favourite, and if you win it you get to play the main stage the next year. So we'd won it and it was an amazing experience, but obviously with 2020 it got cancelled, so now it's kind of rolled over to this year, so fingers crossed we'll get to play the big stage this year, so that'll be really fun. And then the only other one that comes to mind is in December we've got our own like Christmas gig.
Back Cornwall.
Yeah, that's also in October. We're playing Cornwall, and that's the first time we'll ever play Cornwall, so we're treating it like a holiday, so we've got to go to the seaside and stuff, aren't we?
Yeah.
And yeah, the only other one is the Christmas gig at the Bodega in December, and that's like our own gig that we're putting on, and we've got a few bands. So we've got Haxon, Alice's Aunts, and Buena's Treehouse that we've got playing with us. So yeah, they're the ones that come off the top of my head, but I think now that things are starting to gradually get more normal again, we'll start booking more and more gigs, and we tend to update it like on our website or on social media, so we'll keep promoting it on there as well. So hopefully we'll get some more bookings as well, because it's always nice to have gigs to look forward to.
Yeah, we always do a Christmas party as well, which is nice for everybody to get together at the end of the year and just
let it all out.
Everybody's in the good spirits, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got one final question, which is, if you could rock out with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh, that was quick. So why Biffy?
I'm on the Biff. I've got a massive admiration for Simon Neil. He plays through similar pedals and amps as me, and I've just got a lot of respect for his riffs and his melody. Like, he doesn't like prioritize one or the other. He makes sure that it sounds great as a whole. Also Billy Joe Armstrong. Green Day just have been a massive influence on me. Like,
just throughout our whole like teenagehood, like Green Day were like who we aspired to be like.
I think when I play, like, I have got kind of like some of my rhythms that I play or my power chords, it's a bit of a nod to Billy Joe sometimes. I think you can tell that I'm influenced by him.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I remember when I discovered Hole and Courtney Love, like that was just a massive like change for me, because like I'd always I'd gotten into rock music as a teenager, and I'd listened to like loads of different bands, and a lot of them were like male bands, and I'd never really listened to like female rock vocals and female inspired rock before. And I just remember when I first started listening to Hole and Courtney Love, it was just like a whole new world had opened up, and like this female rage, and I just felt like so empowered and inspired. And I just remember like I saw Hole live at Rock City in Nottingham a few years ago. I think actually it's 2014 now, so I feel really old. But I just remember it was like a spiritual experience, and there was just like something special about that gig. There was just like something in the air, and it's just like all these songs that had meant so much to me, and I was seeing them being played live, and just yeah, it was just something special. So I'd say for me, like Courtney Love and Hole, like I just love that band.
There's quite a lot, but if I were going to choose two, it'd be not that you said I could choose two, but I decided.
You only got one, right?
I would have done Keith Flint.
Oh, Claire says Keith Flint from Prodigy.
That's a good nice dude, right?
Yeah, I love Prodigy as well. That's the thing, like all our musical influences are just so varied. Like
it's our dads, definitely our dads.
Yeah, our dads are so musical taste. Like my dad. Like I remember, like I'd be in bed and then I'd just hear music blowing out on a Saturday morning. I'd be like, "What the hell is this?"
Oh, my dad used to do that. It was Pink Floyd, and he'd go, "Hello, is there anybody in there?" And he meant, "Get up out your bedroom because I've got nobody to talk to." But yeah, I remember that. It used to drive me insane.
Yeah.
I find it funny now because it's just on the same wavelength with me and my sense of humour.
Like I think of like Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, The Doors, Adamant. Like they're all like stuff my dad listens to, and it's just stuff that I love as well. And it has had a big influence on like my music taste and what I listen to. Like because I think like once you discover one band, you kind of like look into like, oh, what other bands are similar that I might like, and you discover stuff yourself. Or like I've also gotten like my dad into stuff, so like my dad never used to listen to Nirvana, and then now he's like obsessed, and yeah, it's just cool.
Yeah, my dad listens to Stiff Little Fingers, and we go to gigs there as well.
Really?
And we're playing with them at Butlins, aren't we?
I know, so that'd be a special thing.
Like,
is your dad coming to Butlins?
Proud dad.
Right.
Yeah, we should
If
do.
not, I'll be wearing my top.
Yeah.
Loving it. Yeah, my dad, right from a young age, he'd always got like the rock music on, because my mum and my brother, they're amazing musicians. My brother is an absolute maverick genius with music, like writing stuff for films, composing, that sort of thing. It was all like brass band stuff. So I'd got a lot of like musical influences from the whole family anyway. My uncle's a massive supporter of our band, and I mean, every guitar that I've got around has come from my uncle. So it's like my whole family is supportive musically. My brother is just amazing, and he'll help. We've actually got something really special coming out soon. Instead of doing lyric sheets, we've got the scores to some of our songs, and my brother has put them onto music score sheets for us, and they look amazing as well. So yeah, the whole family is really supportive.
Yeah. It's weird for me because like my dad loves music, but other than that, like no one in my family has ever played an instrument or been musical or anything. So I think when I first started, like obviously I've always loved singing, but then when I started getting into rock music and actually wanted to learn an instrument, like I didn't really know what to do. It was all like self-taught and just kind of like trial and error. You just like try different things, and you just kind of feel like you just figuring out on your own sometimes, you know, when you don't really have anyone in your family or anyone that you know that is into like music or knows how to play music. So I think I always think back now like how difficult it was, and like sometimes like you kind of like put yourself down, or you have self-doubt saying, oh, comparing yourself to other musicians and things. But then I just think of how far you've come. Like when I was 16, I couldn't play a chord to save my life. Like, I had to teach
remember.
myself.
I remember teaching the first 3 or 4 chords, what the notes were on the guitar, what like the different anatomy on the guitar. She's so frustrated. I was just like, you're gonna have to do this on your own.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, so this is the G, and she's not listening. And I'm like, no, you put your finger in the wrong place, and she's still not listening.
Yeah.
So I'm like, ugh.
I do very much see myself as an amateur, just like I'm self-taught. I've never had singing lessons, I've never had music lessons. I just do it all by ear. It's just very, what's the word? I'm trying to think of a word that's better than amateur, like pure. That's the word.
I don't like it. No, I've got a lot of admiration for Charlotte, because she'll say things like that, but she's got an attitude that's like, if you want something doing, you do it yourself. We haven't got a bassist. I'm going to learn to play bass then. Within a year, she'd learned a set list of like 25 songs.
Yeah, it was hard.
For my fellas.
We basically lost because we used to have a couple of guys in the band, and we were a 5-piece, and then they left. So obviously Libby plays guitar, Claire plays drums, and we didn't have a bassist, and I was the singer. I was like, I just need to suck it up and buy a bass and learn how to play bass. And it took a while.
At the same time, I'm like, what kind of wizardry is this?
It took a while, but I think, again, it's just kind of just like, if you need something doing, do it yourself.
Yeah, if you want it doing a certain way, you've got to do it yourself. You've got to learn how to do it.
And I'm so glad now, because I do really enjoy playing bass.
But we've done that with a lot of things, like learning how to run Desensitised, learning how to do our own website, learning how to do Photoshop. If you want something, because I can very specifically see like creative things in my mind, and if like I want somebody to do me a logo, I don't particularly know how to use Photoshop. So I know that's really frustrating for the other person when I'm just like, not right. No. So eventually you just think, we're going to learn how to do it ourselves, get ourselves the own skills. So that you've, there's a lot of pride in that, seeing that you've created the whole article.
But I think as well, like, it is good to get like outside help for certain things as well. But again, it's just kind of like finding the right people who kind of like get you and what you're about, and who kind of like have the same kind of on the same wavelength as you as well.
Yeah, it seems like our album cover sort of thing. Like, I'd send them an Audi version of what I wanted because I can't use Photoshop very well. And then I'm like, can you please make it good?
We want this, but we're not very good. But something like this, but better.
Yeah, but it's got nice touches on there, hasn't it? Like my own handwriting, or like a photo of all 3 of us, but it's taken from fan photos or photographers that have come and seen us, not because we paid for them to come and see us, but they wanted to come and take photos of us. So that was nice that they've got part of that as well.
It's nice to like have other people be a part of it. So there's a little part of them in the album.
Yeah.
I must admit, I've actually got the album. When I saw the detail on it, I was really impressed.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I love, my favourite bit is like the holographic bit on the cover, I think.
I was quite a specific one time.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to be rainbow.
It costs like twice as much to get this shiny cover. I was like, do we really need this shiny cover? She's like, yes.
I remember we were at the time, we were sat in the pub, and I was like, it's got to be rainbow, shiny, holographic. It's got to be, because it's going to go on the shelves of HMV. And this is at the time, you were like, what?
I was like, all right.
I was like, it's happening. And it did, it happened.
Yeah. So it was nice, like, because we got, I think HMV did like a scheme for unsigned bands where you could get your like CDs in HMV. So we went in, I think I emailed them to start with, and then we went in to see them, and we organised it all and like filled in the paperwork and stuff. And then they asked us to play, didn't they? In the actual store in HMV. And it's just like one of those things, like when you're a teenager, you like think, oh, I wonder if I'll ever get to do something like that. And it was just a really good experience. Yeah.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because I was adamant at the time. I was like, nope, they're going to be on the shelves.
You manifested it.
It's going to happen. And you're like, okay, then, and then it did.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there anything else you guys wanted to add, like where people can find you or anything?
So we are on like the standard social media, so Facebook, Instagram, it's Desensitised UK. We've got our website, which is desensitised.co.uk. And to be fair, we tend to share pretty much everything that we do on like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. they're like our main like platforms that we share things on. So we've got like quite a lot that we're planning at the minute. So our main focus at the minute is like writing songs and getting ready for our next album. We're like booking some more gigs, so we've got some booked already, but we're hoping to book some more for this year. And yeah, we're just excited to be able to like meet each other again and see each other and be able to actually write songs together. So yeah, it's exciting to be back at it.
Yeah, we're adding in new stuff to the mix. So now doing piano, which is
Gil that plays learned. Yeah. So yeah, it's fun to kind of like get back together. I feel like we've kind of like in lockdown, we've been in hibernation a little bit, so I feel like we're finally allowed to kind of like get back at it now. We can't wait.
Brilliant. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for inviting us. I think it's brilliant what you're doing, and yeah, I think if you're like, I think we can't wait to like listen to it and listen to like other bands being part of it, because I love listening to podcasts. So I think this is like a brilliant idea, like interviewing bands. But yeah, thank you so much for asking us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I will let you get back to doing whatever it is you're doing.
Thank you. We're just we're doing some practicing while we're together, so we're gonna carry on with that, I think.
Brilliant. Okay then, guys, and I will speak to you later.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.